Alright everybody, long time no see. So I've been testing out changes on the public test cluster for Deimos Arcana quite a bit since it dropped last night. So Friday night was able to get on, start testing things. Saturday tested things out a bit more. Quite a few things to go over. We have Warframe changes, we have all the new weapons, new augment mods, the Arcanes, changes to Steel Path, Glaive changes, and a few interesting surprises I didn't expect to find. So, just going to go into the Warframes right away. Just kind of giving my general thoughts, what I found in testing, what I thought were good changes, what I thought didn't really change too much, and things that were a little disappointing. I'd say overall, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming, and I would just emphasize that this is going to be a fairly big patch, I think. There was a ton of stuff to test. I wasn't even really able to rank up stuff as much as I wanted to, just because there were so many different things to test out. I think the new weapons are really cool. I think almost all of them have very interesting mechanics. I think they have very good base stats. I think all of them, most of them, I think with the exception of one, could definitely see use, even in Steel Path. So I think overall there's a lot of good changes. There are some things that are quite disappointing, but overall I think I was relatively happy. So one of the biggest changes was chroma. So for people who don't know, so I'll just get out of here so we can actually see, you can now change your element on the fly with chroma. And so that's pretty cool. And so they changed Spectral Scream. Now, one of my, so overall, this is nice. Being able to swap elements mid-mission, great. Some issues. If you activate Elemental Ward and you switch elements, you can't reuse Elemental Ward. You can recast Vex Armor, no problem. However, can't reuse Elemental Ward. That's pretty awkward. Additionally, a lot of people remove Chroma's 1, justifiably so. It's a very bad ability. And I'll admit, it is still a very bad ability. So a lot of people remove Chroma's 1 with Helminth. However, now, to get this functionality, you need to have Chroma's 1. So the only option is replacing Chroma's 4, which I guess, luckily enough, is still really bad. However, if you're going to use a Helminth ability on, let's say, Profit Taker, well, now you can't use Chroma's 4, which was one of the kind of niche benefits of using Chroma, because you were able to get that extra credits from Profit Taker. So, that's honestly, it's a nice change. I think they made it with good intentions. I actually don't think it really turned out that great. I really think that this switching functionality should be on Elemental Ward or Vex Armor, not on his 1. I think it's super awkward that it's on his 1. So let's use his 1. So this was advertised as having chaining. However, we can see this isn't really chaining like I thought it would. I thought this would be more like Amprex or Kuva Nukor. However, it seems to just search for enemies in a radius and then chain to one of those once per second, every time it ticks damage. So it's really not that great at applying status effects. Yeah, this is not a beam weapon. You can't increase its fire rate. It deals damage very slowly. So I went with heat here, which should be the best, the most optimal against these units. Now these are extremely tanky units, but I am basically a full strength chroma. This is my profit taker build, and yeah, it the damage isn't there, the status isn't there. I mean, it's kind of nifty, I guess. I think it's better than the old Spectral Scream. Chroma also doesn't have a passive. Um, his passive is the same as the old one. So I think, it's a small quality of life bump. Now let's move on to Ash. So I was very excited about Ash. I thought the Ash changes would be really big because I love Bladestorm Ash. It's one of my favorite abilities. It's super, super cool. However, it was annoying because before you would activate his 4, see the screen goes a little darker, then when you would sweep over an enemy, they would get 1 mark. You could do that up to 3 times. It would cost energy each time, and then you would send out these clones to attack, blah, blah, blah. So this ability does a crap ton of damage. Like, it does a metric butt ton of slash damage. You can easily kill Steel Path enemies with Bladestorm Ash. Dealing damage is not the issue with this build. The issue is that it's horrible at clearing packs of enemies because you have to wait for your clones to attack each target. So my hope was with this change where, you just have to tag enemies once for the full damage. So I was like, well, that should basically triple the speed at which Ash's Bladestorm will kill things, right? So if we go and tag all this stuff, we'll see that our clones still attack each enemy 3 times. So it's like you marked them 3 times. So this honestly really does nothing. And you can even see the counter at the bottom right was 60 when this started, and it's counting down very slowly. Now Ash can still jump in, and increase this by 50% because now there's 3 instead of 2. However, I've been talking for probably 30, 40 seconds now, and these things are just all getting hit. And they'll all die, well, for the most part. Or, maybe barely live. However, it took a long time. In the time that I did that, Ash's passive is amazing with slash weapons. I could have just killed them all anyways. So honestly, this is not, it's like barely a change. So pretty disappointed in the Ash change. Atlas, I'm literally not even going to show this because this change is completely unnoticeable. I tested this out for a long time. I didn't get a single slash proc. It looks like it occasionally will do slash damage, but without slash procs, it's useless. I think even if it did do slash procs, it would still be useless. I highly encourage everyone to still replace this ability with Helminth. Maybe if we keep doing that, someday we'll get a real second ability for Atlas. I think Atlas is actually quite strong right now. I think Landslide is really, really good. It's in a great spot. I have an Ash video or Atlas video that kind of shows how strong Rubble Heap is, even in Steel Path against armored enemies. But I use Ensnare because I'm not going to use Atlas's too. It's terrible. Now, if we got something like where you used Atlas's 2 and it could group enemies up, with the rolling boulder, that would synergize with Landslide. That would be awesome. But that's not, unfortunately, that's just not what we have. So moving on. She didn't really get any changes, but I am like crazy in love with this Gara skin. I think it's amazing. I'm definitely buying this as soon as it comes out. We also got a real glass sword. Not more plasticky looking like the Glassmaker, but this looks gorgeous. I'm definitely getting this. This is a personal taste kind of thing. Garuda. So Garuda got a couple changes. some hidden buffs through bug fixes. So if we unequip Garuda's melee, so you'll see on this config I only have one mod that matters, Blood Rush. So there's a new mod for Garuda, a new augment, which I was testing out. So forgive these builds. This is like the test cluster. I was trying all sorts of wacky stuff. So don't take any of these builds for what you should be doing. So blending talons, which sounds kind of interesting. So tap to perform a radial AoE. Garuda's talons gain additional combo count chance. So the issue that a lot of people pointed out was the mods that relied on combo count, such as Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds, would not work on Garuda's claws or Garuda's talons. The buffs would stack up. However, they wouldn't do anything. Even though the buff would be there on your character, you wouldn't get the extra crit chance, you wouldn't get the extra status chance. It's like they weren't there. And this bug has existed for a very, very long time. We're going on almost a year, I think. So it looks like this bug is finally fixed. I was able to use Blood Rush with her claws, which is just really, really, really nice. Garuda's talons actually have, if we go to here, 20% crit and 36% status, with the overwhelming majority of that being slash. That's a really good melee weapon. So now that we can actually use Blood Rush, these things are really, really, really good. I'm going to just really quickly throw on kind of like the current meta. Let me see here. Oh, sorry. So I just got to balance this just right. So I don't think I can go here. Yep. Okay. So with the build I'm going for with Weeping Wounds, you want your viral to be just below slash. So your slash is the dominant proc. So now I got to get Weeping Wounds, Organ Shatter. I just use Naramon. You can use Drifting Contact here instead of that if you want. So now this is a really, really good melee weapon. So I'm really happy for Garuda. I think this is a huge change for her. Now on to the augment. So I was messing around with Ensnare. Let me see where. Now I know the combo that I see most people use is with Breach Surge, which frankly I'm not actually a huge fan of Breach Surge on Garuda, to be perfectly honest. I think I'm not going to go into that too much, but I think it's way too slow. Garuda can insta-kill like everything anyways, so I'd rather have stuff that, helps her out in other ways. Alright, so I'm going to get her claws out, just kind of show off this augment. So, we got normal Garuda stuff. So now you do this like radial AoE. Honestly, I kind of like it. It definitely supports a different playstyle. It was really awkward when you would one into enemies and you wanted to start meleeing them, but you couldn't really do that because you had to back up and then use your 4 in the air, right? And you can actually still do that, which is cool. So it's actually a pretty flexible augment. I think it's pretty good. I'm just gonna really quickly build up my combo counter, and it goes up really, really fast because of this new augment. So let me see if any of these are healthy. Okay, so yeah, Garuda's claws are actually insane. That's a lot of status procs. So yeah, the base range on it is very low. It's only 7 meters. But it could definitely open up a cool playstyle. So I had to kind of retool my build a little bit, get some more range. I don't think this is the optimal build. I was still messing around with this just earlier tonight. You do have to drop adaptation and stuff, so you might want to pick up something I personally really like Resonator on Garuda. I think it's really nice because it gives her a lot of safety. So that's an option, and you can drop a lot of your defensive tools if you have Resonator. So that's an option. Really, as long as you're getting that, as close as you can to that 100% bleed chance on your Seeking Talons, that's really the most important part of Garuda's kit. So you can kind of do whatever else you want. So overall, really happy with Garuda. The bug being fixed was really, really nice. Gauss is now Vauban. Here's a meme build. Let me just get some enemies here. Yep, Gauss is now Vauban. Now that was like max range, but I think this augment is definitely going to open up some build options for Gauss. One reason that a lot of people I know drop Thermal Sunder for a Helminth ability like Warcry or something like that, because most people use Narrow-Minded for the extra duration, which makes sense because most of Gauss's kit scales off duration. I think this augment gives you a reason to go into range, at least some range. So when this is maxed out, it's 8 meters, so not too small. I probably would want I would imagine at least 175% range if I'm going to use this augment. But you could probably try using it with a narrow-minded plus stretch, getting to around 100. You know, it's definitely a really cool little utility. It's really nice. I mean, it's literally vortex. It's like a temporary instantaneous vortex, and then you can just smash him in the face with a melee. It's a nice change. Can't complain about that. So moving on. Necros. I'm not even really going to show this. The Necros change was very cool, but I think it's very fun. I don't know how effective it is. I will definitely be using Soul Punch more. So for those of you who don't know, Soul Punch now has the added, and so that one of the things is they didn't update a lot of tooltips, unfortunately, but it has the added feature where it if you use Soul Punch on an enemy below, and it's actually pretty cool, so I'll show it really quick. So if you use it on an enemy below 20% health, so I don't want to kill them, so I'm just trying to do this like slowly. Oh, damn it. Okay, sorry, I messed that up. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had to like kind of time that well. If you use it on an enemy below 20% health, you get a Shield of Shadows dude. If you have the max number of Shield of Shadows dudes out, you heal them. So is it really good? No. Is it like cool? Will I use it? Because it's like kind of memey but kind of fun. Yeah, I think it's a nice change. It gives Necros like something to do with his energy. Because with Despoil and Equilibrium, Necros can basically have infinite energy. So I think it's a nice little change. Not huge, but nice. The Nidus change was like actually insane. I was really not expecting it to be so good. So they also haven't updated this tooltip, but enemies that die in larva have a 20% chance to give you 1 mutation stack. So that's not like 1 pip of mutations, like 1/5 of a mutation. Like it gives you a full mutation stack. So this makes like low-level missions way easier with Nidus. This makes grouping with allies way easier with Nidus. I think this was like an amazing change. It honestly might be the best frame change of the bunch, which is ironic because Nidus was definitely the best frame of the of the frames that got changes, outside of maybe Gauss. Gauss is extremely strong as well. Revenant's augment was kind of surprising. So this does scale with strength. So this is kind of my like typical Revenant build, where I do have some duration. I do dump range because rather than having efficiency, I go for some more duration so I can use Dance Macabre. Because this ability doesn't actually scale off of range. All range does is it increases the width of your beams. It doesn't increase the length of your beams. So you don't really care about range, even if you're going to use this 4. Range does help you hit more enemies with your 3, but you know, I like having the extra duration for your thralls. It doesn't actually affect Mesmer Skin much, but having middle of the road efficiency and then negative duration makes this cost kind of too much to really sustain. But anyways, with like a typical Revenant build that's going into 250+% strength anyways, because that's the 250% is the threshold to insta-kill enemies with the Reeve combo. You get about 60+% damage per thrall, because this scales with strength. Honestly, not bad. I mean, with 7 thralls, like you're getting like a double serration from this. I mean, you're not chroma, but it's definitely a nice chunk of extra damage. So I could definitely see throwing this on a Revenant build and not feeling bad about it. So not super amazing, but it's pretty nice. Nice little extra thing. So Wisp. Wisp got a very niche augment, which I will yeah, so there it is. So the way it works is you get crit chance based on the distance between you and a reservoir that you teleport to. So you get the crit when you critical chance for sniper rifles when you teleport to a reservoir. So what does strength do? Strength kind of increases the amount of crit you get per distance traveled. And duration increases the duration of the buff. One nice thing is this drain, like it reduces the amount of energy your 3 costs. That's actually kind of nice, especially for like maybe a negative efficiency Wisp build. So I think this has some application for Eidolons, certainly. Wisp is already extremely strong for Eidolons. So I think, something like this, I don't have a Riven on my Rubico, but so this is like my Eidolon build, or it was, yeah, which I apparently need to forma one more time. I always hate formaing for that one extra capacity. It always feels really bad. But something like this, you can throw your reservoir, make one of these over here. Go over here, see if I can see it. Teleport to it, and now I have this 350% crit chance. Let me zoom in before I... And boom. Pretty nice juicy red crits. Which, that's pretty nice. I think being able to guarantee, well, not guarantee, but I think with Harrow it would be guaranteed red crits on Wisp. I mean, she's already good at Eidolons. This is just another way for her to be even better at Eidolons. She's an insanely strong frame. Why not give her some kind of extra niche tool? Zephyr, I'm literally not even going to talk about her 2 change. Like, this ability needs to be buffed way more than what they did, and not in the damage department. I think they need to focus on its utility. Buffing its damage was really weird. The proc chance for your Parazon finisher, also really weird. So I do have a Zephyr video where I use Ensnare with her tornadoes. You can see I was messing around with the Theorem Arcanes. We'll get to those in a little bit. So you can put on a crit explosive weapon like the Shedu. I personally really, really, really like the Zephyr changes. I think they're awesome. Being able to have like stationary tornadoes is I mean, it's been one of the things that's been really annoying about Zephyr for a really, really long time. And especially with something like Ensnare, which you can control where the enemies are, and thus control where the tornadoes are. And then, yeah, so it turns out, I cover this very extensively in my Zephyr video, but Zephyr's tornadoes are kind of like Mag, where they can amplify damage by an insane amount. You can also hold your 4, and they're more normal. They just zoom around randomly. Or you can tap, and they'll stay in one spot. And, like, imagine throwing this into a corridor, and you saw how much damage that did, right? That's just gonna just butcher enemies. So I think it's a huge change for Zephyr. Really, 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 really good change for Zephyr. I'm ecstatic about that. It's honestly, it might be the change I'm the most excited about. So I'm gonna try and go a little quick. I know this is gonna be super long. I'm really sorry, but there's a massive amount of changes to cover. So weapons, I'll go over pretty quickly. So I'm gonna have to go in to see the base stats because I have builds. So going over the base stats, I think this is the arm cannon. Another thing is I tried to find the location for all of these things, like how to get them. Mixed success. Some of them I could find, some of them I couldn't. So it has decent crit chance. Unfortunately, it's a shotgun. Shotguns have pretty bad crit mods. Very bad crit mods compared to primary weapons. So it's honestly I tried. So I'm with MR24 or am I yeah MR24. Once again I was kind of messing around with stuff. Um, you know I think that status will probably be the way to go. Maybe like a crit status hybrid. Um, it doesn't really, I mean, 50% crit's pretty solid with Blunderbuss. You can also use Laser Sight, which is really great. The reason why I liked status a lot was because of the alt fire, which had a really, really nice status chance. And one of the things that's amazing about this weapon, in my opinion, is the alt fire has base viral damage with a massive status chance. So if you build this thing for status, and then you can see I was trying some memes with Modus set up over here. But if you build this for status, then on your normal attack, like the shotgun attack, you can have corrosive and heat. And on the alt fire, you can have viral. That's a really, really good combo. If you can get those 3 elements on one weapon, you are going to shred basically any level enemy because you're just debuffing them so much. Like their armor is going to be completely gone between heat and corrosive, and then viral is just amping your damage up insanely high. So this weapon, I was very happy with this weapon. I think it's really cool. Some of the feedback is its reload is pretty slow. So it has a battery system similar to the Shedu. So here we can see the shotgun, and then it'll reload, kind of a slow reload. And then if you use the alt fire, it uses multiple shots, like a lot of shots, like pretty much almost half or a third of the clip, but it applies a ton of status effects. This makes me realize, or think of another thing, so let me take this mod off. Good old Prime Sure-Footed. Yep, stagger. One of my points of feedback is that practically every single weapon in this patch has stagger, and it's pretty annoying. So I kind of forgot about it because I have Prime Sure-Footed on most of my builds, but as soon as I started messing around with a build that didn't have Prime Sure-Footed, it was really annoying. So just a disclaimer, if you're not running knockdown immunity, it's probably going to be very frustrating playing with some of these weapons. So moving on to some of the other new weapons. Okay, so there was some. So I really like this weapon. So overall, I think it'll be really useful. I definitely think if you like the arm cannon thing, it'll be pretty cool. So I'm gonna go. So this is one of the kit guns. It's the primary version of the kit gun. I'm gonna cover this more for the secondary. The primary of this is a shotgun. So once again, shotgun mods aren't really great for crit. So the primary catch moon is pretty rough. So I didn't even really bother with this. Now you can see I have primary hentai over here. So this is an interesting weapon. So I did, I leveled this up, I gilded it, I leveled it again. So put some time into this, put kind of a budget hunter munition build on here. Now this weapon, the numbers are actually pretty solid. It's definitely not bad. Now, one thing you can notice is that it's like you're having a, magnitude 47,000, which I know doesn't exist, but like your house is having an earthquake. They really need to fix the screen shake. It's really, really bad. However, it does have a really cool, very nice chain mechanic, which affects a lot of targets. The build I'm using is not optimal by any means, but it has some other cool properties. Like if you latch onto an enemy, you can kind of like look away and it'll keep doing damage. It's like, slooped onto them. The targeting is a little weird. Like it can sometimes like retarget kind of on its own almost. Overall, if they fix the screen shake, I think it could be a nice like hybrid weapon. So I built it kind of, with crit and status because I wanted to go for hunter munitions. Primed blunderbuss DE, please. It would be great. I'm saving this bow for last for a reason. So this is a status-based sniper rifle. So you can see I barely have any mods on this weapon, right? And these are level 150 heavy gunners. So this is what I did all my testing on. So this is a status sniper, which I personally really like. Not everybody likes though. There's like this weird distortion thing going on with the scope. I really hope that gets fixed. It also has a Deimos-like mechanic where if you make a headshot, it does this little explosion thing. It applies a ton of status effects, so if you're hitting headshots, this thing does a ton of damage. One thing that's a little annoying is that, the explosion applies a lot of status effects, but it has a really long delay. So once those status effects happen, your subsequent shots do a tremendous amount of damage. But yeah, so I think this weapon's actually quite strong with the right setup. You have to keep in mind, this is a very suboptimal mod setup I'm running now. So it definitely, it's doing a lot of damage to those 150 heavy gunners, so it's pretty good. But not everybody's cup of tea. Status-based sniper. Let me just go look at the stats really quick. 53% base status. That's crazy. That's really high. Literally, like basically zero crit. That might as well be a zero. A lot of slash. That's awesome. Base viral. Also awesome. So once again, another weapon that you can have. Corrosive, viral, and heat. So very, very, very good. Or, at least it has potential. Now this is where the memes go to play. This weapon is just, this bow is so cool. Don't bother subsuming Nidus's larva when you could just use this bow, because this thing is awesome. I think this will be super cool for like a build like, oh hey, like I'm primarily meleeing, but I'm gonna like group enemies up and then I'm gonna melee them, like stuff like that. Really, really, really cool. I think it's awesome. Now the reason I'm playing, I took off Zephyr's funnel clouds for a reason. So one nice change about Zephyr is her funnel clouds are definitely way stickier. So before, like funnel clouds, like these enemies would just fly off. Right now they actually get clumped up really nicely, and you can shoot enemies inside here with this bow, and it'll shoot out and grab enemies from outside of there and pull it in. So that's really awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna give a sneak peek of this. So, yep, they're all dead. So this pistol, so I think we're done with the primaries there. Overall, I think the sniper, if you like status snipers, it's really cool. If you don't, not going to be for you. Kick guns, the hentai tendril one has potential. Egg launcher is a shotgun, so it's garbage. Sorry. The arm cannon definitely has potential. I think there's quite a few builds you could probably go with that one. The bow is very unique, extremely unique. Also, it has, let me go to an empty build here. On the explosion, it has base viral damage, which is also really, really good. So I was going with this type of thing with fire rate because it doesn't have a quick fire mode, and the base charge rate is 0.7, which isn't super long, but if you're going to use it just for like priming enemies, you're probably going to want some type of fire rate. But I was like messing around in Steel Path using this as like a condition overload primer as like a utility weapon. So I would just like, shoot the ground really quick, group enemies up, then melee them. It was working really great. I loved it. And I love this bow. I'm so excited for this. Best part, let me cover this really quickly. So, arm cannon, Biolab from the dojo. Kit guns, I have no idea. They're supposed to be from Father. I couldn't find where the vendor was. I had to go to Fortuna to actually build the kit guns. The bow, you can buy it from the market with credits. So probably the coolest thing from, like, in my opinion, what I'm looking forward to the most, you don't even have to farm for. You do need a Mutilus Cernos to craft this though. Just a heads up. This weapon, the status sniper, I could not find the blueprint for this anywhere. It doesn't even show up in the market to buy this with plat. So I don't know if maybe we're gonna get a quest or something, but it's a little unknown where that comes from. Secondaries. So there's 3 secondaries. Let me do it this way. Will be way easier. So there's the Catabolist, which I'll cover this last. Let me do the tendril kit gun, very similar to the primary. I kind of like the primary more. The egg launcher, which this is like what it's called. That's what the front thing is called. So once again, I did level this up. I was really trying, so I'll get to the Arcanes in a bit. I was messing around with this a bunch. It does have base toxin on the radial attack, so I went with more of a like balanced build. I don't know if I personally don't know if like all-inning on crit is like super great. Also, this reload mechanic doesn't seem to be working. So at least when I was messing around with it, it didn't seem to be working. Maybe maybe they fixed it, or maybe it was just bugged in this build. But let me bring these guys out real quick. Show this off. So one thing is it does have like a pretty huge. So once again, if I didn't have primed Surefooted on, I'd be getting staggered. This has a pretty big area of effect. Like you can see, it was pretty nice for like clearing out enemies. I think I have the build with no mods on right now. I'm nearly sure of that. Yes. I was gonna say it wasn't doing that little of damage. So it does do like quite a bit of status application. Kind of a slow fire rate. Now it would definitely be doing better with if I think I'd probably need a couple Forma. So now it said in the stats screen or the arsenal it was supposed to have this reload from empty thing. I don't think that's working right now, or maybe it's just not implemented, or it's not supposed to be in there or something. So this is the Catabolist. So let me go to the base stats. Really nice crit multiplier, kind of low crit chance on the primary fire, really good status chance, all corrosive. Awesome. Once again, you can go corrosive, viral, and heat. Huge thumbs up. It has this cool mechanic where when you reload, you throw your clip and it explodes like a grenade. Pretty cool. If you reload from empty, it has massive crit stats and huge status. It's awesome. It's amazing. And the radial attack is pure corrosive. So this thing is kind of a monster. You know, I have like barely a build on this right now. And so wait, yeah. But anyways, I think with with an actual mod setup, oh, damn it, I didn't have any. Okay, I didn't have any mods, and it actually did damage. That's kind of insane. I was like, wow, I thought this would do a little more damage than that. Okay, now I'm almost killing this thing, and there we go. So I think this weapon is awesome. I think it has really cool mechanics. I'm really looking forward to this. I think the two weapons I'm looking forward to the most are this secondary is awesome. The bow is amazing, and I did really like the arm cannon. Now, as far as the new melee go, Pulmonars, I'm not even going to show this. It's a nunchuck. Atlantis Vulcan is a terrible stance. It has very mediocre stats. It's all impact and viral, which is like the viral is kind of nice, but there's no real way to proc slash with this weapon. It's just not super great. The new fan, and here I can show the actual appearance. I'm not a huge fan. Oh yeah, fan. I don't really like the actual appearance of this, so that's why I went with the skin. But anyways, so if you look at the base stat, oh sorry, I was messing around with another build. So pretty solid attack speed, poor crit stats. This is probably like kind of unusable with Blood Rush. I mean, Blood Rush is still usable, obviously. It's an insanely overpowered mod, but it's like, we didn't have access to the new stance, unfortunately, which I would have loved to try. Very respectable status chance, very good base status, and a lot of slash damage. So, and it also has this thing with the heavy attacks where you like throw them at people, whatever. So what I'm probably going to do with this weapon is go like this, like condition overload, a lot of status, using the slash status stance melee mod, or status chance melee mod. So it gives you, priority slash, tons of status. You can go, kind of get a lot of attack speed. I'd probably run more attack speed on this. So the last two slots I'd probably fill out with primed reach and probably just berserker, honestly, just for the extra attack speed, because you're going to want to get a lot of procs out really fast. So yeah, pretty solid. I think it's a nice weapon if you want to run Zenuric. You don't want to run like a combo count based weapon. Definitely an option for that for sure. Not like insanely strong. I don't think it's going to be like the new meta or anything, but it's not weak by any means. So that kind of covers. Oh, sorry. So to go over the location for these, once again, the kit guns, I couldn't find where those were from. This weapon, I believe, Father had the blueprint. The melee, the Spinoza, or sorry, the Pulmonars. Father had that blueprint as well. This one, I don't think I was able to find the location. Oh yes, there is one more ranged weapon, or one more weapon to cover. So that is the grenade launcher from the Mech. So let me look at the base stats. Pretty solid crit stats, pretty good status. The radial attack has, or sorry, the secondary attack has really nice crit, really nice status. And it's not going to replace the Mausolon, but if you like it, it's definitely fun. I can bring it down and kind of use it a little. So yeah, definitely not the Mausolon, but I have the wrong build on. Whatever, so you can kind of get the idea. So it shoots grenades. It doesn't really have too much of an arc. It's not too bad to shoot. Not the best arc gun, but I think it's pretty strong, pretty fun. The new Mech is really bad. So I didn't even really level it up because I watched other people, and it's just bad. This is definitely going to be you max it out and you don't use it ever again. The tooltips aren't even right on it. The 4 is an exalted melee that has worse stats than the normal Veritux. So yeah, it's really bad. It's like an arc melee based thing, which it's just destined for failure. So yeah, really bad, unfortunately. Okay, um, real quick, I'm going to touch on Steel Path. Steel Path, there's these new dailies. They kind of show up like the Kuva siphons and whatnot. I think farming for Kuva through Steel Essence is basically dead. You can't. Steel Essence no longer drops off Eximus units. To get Steel Essence, you have to do these dailies, and then an Acolyte, one of the like Stalker Acolytes from that event will spawn. They're very easy to kill. They're not like Stalker. Even on Steel Path, you could affect them with abilities. They could be affected by status effects. They were kind of a joke to kill. They weren't even really very tanky, honestly. I happened to have Ensnare on the frame I was using at the time, and I just killed it with that infested shotgun with like 4 mods. So definitely not tanky or difficult to kill. So I think the quote unquote meta for Steel Path will basically just be doing all those daily missions, which I think nets you like I think you get 5 each, so it's like a decent amount per day if you do all of them. And I think the kind of goal for Steel Path will probably be to get the goodie that Teshin has in the shop that week. So on this build, it was an Umbra Forma blueprint, which is kind of cool. So I think it's a basically eviscerates and completely destroys doing long endurance runs with you know who. Just gonna bring her up real quick. So with this lady here, um, so yeah, kills doing endurance runs with her. So I think this was their way of nerfing Korra. That's kind of what I think. I think they were faced with Korra being way too efficient at farming Steel Path. They didn't want to nerf Korra because her prime is coming soon, and people love Korra. I think given how hard she is to farm, she's still really popular because she's so good, and she's a really cool frame. Like she has a ton of synergies. She's just really fun to play. So yeah, I mean Korra's amazing. So I don't think they wanted to nerf Korra, but Steel Essence farming was a little out of control in their minds. So that was their solution. I think it's honestly better for casual players. Like myself, I'm a dad. Warframe is definitely just my hobby, so I wasn't really able to do super long endurance runs very often. When Steel Path first launched, I did some like multi-hour runs with some friends, but since then haven't really been able to. It definitely wasn't my main source of Kuva. I mostly did Steel Path for just fun and build testing. So I think even for people like me or people who are kind of a little more casual, who couldn't do those really long endurance runs, I think it's a really big buff for those people. A big nerf to the kind of, I would assume, smaller percentage of players doing multi-hour endurance runs. So it is what it is. There are some kind of cute surprises. So I'm going to bring up my Mech Predacite here. So Sun had a couple new mods. So he had one where this is basically a taunt. So the Predacite will spit up this maggot, which taunts enemies and then explodes for viral damage. I was absolutely blown away by how good this mod was. I thought this was going to be complete garbage. It was actually really good. I was like very surprised. Um, I don't know if it'll necessarily be like meta, but I think it's a compelling reason to use the Predicites. I think I grabbed this mod. Oh, I don't even think I grabbed it. So the Vulpaphilas also have a new one. It's basically like when you get below 10% health, your Vulpaphyla sacrifices itself to heal you for 20% of your health. I could like maybe see that on an Aros. Maybe. But that's pretty much it. It's not super great. So another thing that was kind of cool, which I can show right here. So my Death Cube Prime has a new appearance. So this is the Necroloid Sentinel. So it's the Thanotech Sentinel skin and also a bunch of attachments. So at this point, I'm going to head back to my orbiter to show some other stuff. So I did find one kind of interesting thing I found. Ooh, look at this. Got a little surprise from Stalker there. Oopsies. So sorry. So another change, they updated the front of the orbiter to match the rear. So now I need to replace my floof there. So one thing I was kind of like snooping around, being a bad person. I looked at the incomplete mods, and I don't have all the mods, but I have a lot of the mods. So I noticed these, what appeared to be new mods with a drop source I was unfamiliar with. So apparently these things will spawn around the pylons. That's what someone told me. I couldn't confirm that myself, but it's similar to the old mod, or to the mods that are already on Deimos. It's nice that it's like a slash set, but it's kind of nifty. I think the set bonus actually sounds pretty cool. I don't know what will increase of this set when you get more pieces, but it actually sounds interesting as opposed to the other set bonuses, which for me at least weren't really super interesting. But having a reason to do aerial attacks for melee, that could kind of make combat more interesting, give you something else to think about. So pretty cool. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, because oh, sorry, I should have shown this before, but really quickly, I wasn't able to test out all of the glaive changes. And I did test Glaive Prime quite a bit. So I wish I was still in the Simulacrum. But this thing is like disgusting. It was so those 150 heavy gunners with a corrupt charge build was straight up one-shotting them. Now Glaive Prime also has forced crit procs or a force slash procs, so that's really awesome. But straight up one-shotting them, complete beast of a weapon. I think Glaive Prime is going to be insane. Buy your Glaive Rivens now. I'm actually not kidding. I like legitimately think it's going to get nerfed. The only mod I was able to try that was new was Power Throw, which was it made getting your glaive into a group of enemies to detonate it way easier. The extra throw damage was pretty nice. I mean, it's basically 300% damage. So, I didn't even use condition overload. I just used prime pressure point and power throw. And the completely removed fall off on the radial attack, which is insane. There's zero fall off. So if you hit them at all in this range, they take the full damage, which is nuts. Like absolutely insane. So this thing does a lot of damage. It's crazy. I was on Steel Path Deimos, and I one shot a Steel Path Juggernaut with a Glaive Prime explosion. This thing is not effing around right now. Glaive Prime is gonna be a beast, absolute beast. Talking about real quick about Deimos, I did try the new bounties a couple times. So the new bounties you do have to do an isolation vault first to unlock the new bounties, to be able to do the new bounties in that session. I was not a fan of that. I thought that was really kind of shitty. Now, one of the rewards that you get for the new these new bounties, and the bounties were actually pretty cool. They utilized the underground area of Deimos, which honestly it was pretty nice. I thought the bounties themselves were kind of more interesting than bounties we've seen in the past, at least for me. Didn't mind those at all. I just thought it was pretty annoying that you had to do the isolation vault first. Now that brings us to the rewards that you get for said new bounties, which is these Arcanes. I almost don't even want to talk about these that much because I tried these out for a really long time. Like Friday night, I was really trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, test them thoroughly. I was up till 5 in the morning testing these out. I played for almost 12 hours Friday night. I played a ton on Saturday. A lot of that time was messing around with these Arcanes. They're unusably bad in their current state. So on kit gun kill, so you need to kill with now this isn't really explained here, much like many things in Warframe. When it says kill, that means with direct damage from your kit gun. So if you have a kit gun where, let's say, you get a lot of slash procs or you get a lot of heat procs, and those damage over time effects kill your enemy, it will not proc this arcane. Right? So it needs to be the direct damage that kills it, which already is adding stipulations. And then on top of that, so if you do get a kill, there's a 20% chance, which is way too freaking low. Way too low. I would love to see this just be 100%. I think this should just be 100% chance. Straight up. If you're going to use an arcane slot, and if you're using these, you're using one of your Warframe arcanes, one of the Theorem arcanes. So 20% chance, way too low. I think it needs to be bare minimum 50% chance. I'd love it to be 100% chance. 12 seconds, way too short. Most of the Warframe arcanes, the Theorem arcanes that interact with these, need 15 seconds to get the full effect. Yet all of these only last 12 seconds. So, very bad. Very relatively short range that you can't increase. A pitiful amount of damage. Now keep in mind, this is just heat damage. This does not proc status effects. So in my head, I thought, okay, well maybe this isn't too bad. Like you're killing groups of enemies, you get an electricity proc, you stun them all. It's like some amount of crowd control. Hey, I'll use heat. One proc of heat that actually strips armor. That's actually pretty valuable. No, doesn't proc status. And the ground effects to see that these proc are practically impossible to see. So that's the residual ones. Now we can go look at the Theorem arcanes. And it doesn't really get much better. So this is like reading like a Magic the Gathering card or like a Yu-Gi-Oh card or something, but yeah, so those residual arcanes that I just showed, so there's one for each element. You kill an enemy with your kit gun, they make this elemental area. You stand in that area to get an effect from these Theorem arcanes, right? So this one is you make these orbs, they orbit you every couple seconds. I think basically all the numbers associated with both of these, like this like coupled system of residual and Theorem arcanes, all the numbers need to be buffed by like massive amounts for these to be usable. So just right off the bat. So the damage is basically negligible. This does provide some amount of damage scaling because it increases that target's vulnerability to a whatever the globe's damage type is by 200%. However, this is only one target at a time. If this was like an AoE, and I could see a situation where you're playing Ember or Protea, a frame that does a lot of its damage with an ability that's one elemental type, right? So you're playing Ember, you're casting Inferno, you're casting Blaze Artillery, Volt casting his 4, right? It might be cool to use a kick gun with those frames, get this buff, debuff enemies around you so they take more damage from your element. That would be a cool synergy. This does not work like that. This only hits one enemy. I think it's pretty horrible. I'm literally not going to talk about this one. It's so bad. I'm actually not going to give it the time of day. This one is a little more boring, a little more straightforward. Basically you stand in that elemental area to get this stacking buff. But like I said, you need to stand in there for 15 seconds to get the whole buff, and it only lasts for 12. And it only lasts for 5 seconds from leaving the zone. So that means you need to kill an enemy with your kick gun, get this zone to proc, stand in it for 12 seconds, not 15, because it doesn't last 15 seconds. And you need to also get there right away, basically be standing on top of the enemy. Oh wait, the new kick gun staggers you. Actually, multiple kick guns stagger, So, and then once that ends, you better hope that you've killed multiple other enemies that have also died and created these zones that you can jump into to keep this buff going, because it only lasts for 5 seconds after leaving the zone. Like I said, all these numbers need to be jacked up. Okay, let's look at Arcane Arcane Rage. Oh, 180%. Okay. Let's look at this theorem again. Oh yeah, 6% times 15. Okay, 90%. 90% extra damage. That must be a lot, right? Oh, let's look at Fury. Let's look at Fury. Oh, 180%. Oh, and it's basically up all the time. Okay. All right, and you don't even have to try because pretty much every melee crits. What's the other one? Yeah, pistol. Okay, the pistol one must be bad, right? Oh, 300% chance. Or 300% damage. Oh, man. Wow. So every other weapon damage arcane completely shits on this arcane and doesn't require an insanely specific set of conditions to like actually get that benefit. And you could make the argument of, hey, well, this benefits every weapon, not just one specific type. Okay, this effect only like lasts for 5 seconds when you're leaving the zone. That means that while you're in the zone, you need to be killing stuff with a kit gun to keep this effect going. So this might as well only affect kit guns. You're not going to have time to use another weapon while this while this arcane is stacking up. You're gonna need to be killing stuff with a kick gun. So sorry if I'm getting a little animated, but I really tried to make these work, like really, really hard. They're just bad. They're unusably bad. I strongly, advise against trying to farm these. I don't think it's worth it. It's like it's not even meme tier. Like, look at all the videos I've made. I freaking love memes. Only thing I do is play meme frames and meme builds. I love them. That's why I love Warframe. You can make awesome, funny, cool builds. This is not that. This is just bad. There is no fun. There is no meminess. It's just straight up bad, which makes me very sad because it could have been super cool, and I'm hoping it'll be cool if it gets like insane buffs. So there's like one final thing, and I'm going to throw on Gara because, man, that skin, I really, really like it. So I'm gonna go over here. So there's one thing in Deimos I just wanted to show really quick. Seems to be a new way of obtaining tokens through grandmother. And so we can see, let me just head over to grandma real quick. I think grandma's right there, but I'm going to be extra lazy. So there's a new option called Mend the Family. So you can do this thing where you get tokens, right? So you can trade in materials from Deimos for tokens for each member of the family, including grandmother, which is kind of interesting. So, you know, if I take one of these, so I have 16 sun tokens, so I'm going to trade this in. All right. So now I'm going to go look at my inventory, see how many sun tokens I have. And I have 19. So all it does is it adds the tokens into your inventory. So, you know, it's a nice little extra way of getting tokens. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Real quick, I'm just gonna try and show this glaive off. See if I can actually find an enemy to throw this at, and then I think that pretty much covers everything. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the new glaive mods. I did my best. I tried transmuting a bunch of stuff. I tried looking up like where they might drop, like blah blah blah. Was unable to find them. You can't even link them. They don't even show up in the mod menu. But so glaives now, like you can use the actual glaive stance attacks like while you're dual wielding, which is awesome. I think glaives are like they're just in such a better spot. It's really awesome. I'm very 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 happy with glaives. Oh, I hear some enemies over here. No. Oh, there we go. All right, so yeah, big numbers, very very big crits. Glaives are awesome. So well, I'll end here. I love this Gara skin so much. I'm instantly buying this when it comes out. So yeah, I think the weapons are cool. Frame changes. There was one or two that were really hype. The rest were kind of underwhelming. A lot of the new actual Deimos stuff is, you know, kind of okay. I can show the bounties here really quick. So as you can see, it says complete isolation vault to unlock this bounty. So you can't even do the new bounties till you do an ISO vault. And this is where you get these things. There's also some new Necromech mods that are kind of whatever. So yeah, I think the farm for these is going to be horrifically bad, and I don't think it's worth it. And really, none of these Necromech mods that are in here are worth it. Maybe this one would maybe be nice. But yeah, so one last thing, I can show this skin in the glass state. So I've heard a lot of people say they don't like this. I actually like it quite a bit. But yeah, so I'm sorry that this was like insanely long, but there was a ton of stuff to cover. Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to messing around with these weapons and Zephyr and Garuda and Gara because she's beautiful, and Glaives. So, you know, hopefully I'll be making some meme videos with some cool builds after the update. I hope it drops soon. I do hope they take some feedback and improve, especially the Arcanes. The Arcanes are just disappointing right now. They need to be changed. So, with that, sorry this was so long, but a lot of stuff to cover. So, thanks everybody. I hope you have a good time in Deimos Arcana. Let me know what you're most excited for. I'm probably most excited to try Zephyr because I love Zephyr. So I hope everybody has a good time, and send you off with a little Gara dance. So see you around.